Today I'm going to show you how to write an Ethereum Dapp in record speed with a tool called Drizzle. All right, so this is put out by Truffle, and it's going to allow us to create a client-side application, a user interface for our Ethereum smart contracts without having to write a bunch of extra code ourselves. All right, so before we get into that, hey, I'm Gregory from Dapp University. If you're joining me for the first time, click subscribe, click the like button down below, and if you're serious about becoming a blockchain developer, you want to learn more about how to build Ethereum Dapps, you need to join my Blockchain Developer Bootcamp. You can find more info about that down below at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. So what is Drizzle? Well, it's a framework for creating user interfaces for dApps or decentralized applications. In this case, we're going to create a front end for an Ethereum smart contract. All right, so Drizzle allows us to create front ends quickly without having to write a bunch of code ourselves. Okay, so it'll allow you to scaffold client-side applications for these dApps in record speed. Okay, so Drizzle is a part of the Truffle suite. All right, so you might be familiar with Truffle. That's the smart contract framework for developing dApps, writing tests for them, deploying them. And Drizzle is a plug-and-play tool that allows you to hook into an existing Truffle project and create front ends really fast and easy. All right, it supports a lot of other front end frameworks like React and Vue and things like that. In this case, we're going to use React specifically. All right, so I'll walk you through that step by step. You don't have to know React, you don't have to know Truffle, you don't have to know much about blockchain in order to follow along. I'm going to show you. All right, so we can see all you need is a few npm packages, just Drizzle React, and Drizzle components. And those are built off of like Web3, Redux, and Redux Saga, which are other tools that you might be familiar with if you've either developed, existing client-side applications with React and Redux, or any other blockchain apps with Web3. All right, so I've got lots of other videos on my channel about these technologies. You can check that out if you want to, and I'll also teach you how to use Redux manually inside my Blockchain Developer Bootcamp. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. There's a few dependencies you want to have installed before we get started. The first dependency is Node.js, so we can go to your terminal and type node-v to see if you have it installed already. If not, you can follow the installation instructions here on the Node.js website. All right, the next dependency is the Truffle framework. So Truffle is a suite of tools that allows us to build Ethereum smart contracts for the blockchain. And we're going to hook into Truffle today when we use Drizzle, right? So it's a product of the Truffle suite, right? It integrates very nicely with this framework for building smart contracts. And the last dependency is going to be the Ganache personal blockchain, which is a development blockchain that's going to run on your computer so that you can write smart contracts and test them out without having to use any real money or anything like that, all right? So make sure you got all these things installed, and we're going to go ahead and set up a project like this. I'm going to go to the terminal and create a new project. I'm going to say make directory. Let's see here. We'll call this Drizzle example. All right, we'll enter into that directory, cd Drizzle example. All right, so the next thing we want to do is create a Truffle project. So we'll say Truffle-v to make sure Truffle's installed. If you don't see a Truffle version here. Well, actually, let's do Truffle version, sorry. Version. And I'll go ahead and bump the font up here so you guys can see better. So if you don't see a Truffle version here, then that means you haven't installed it properly. So if you do, great job. We're going to create a Truffle project like this. We'll say Truffle init. All right. And that's going to set up some boilerplate code for us. It's going to download. And I can go ahead and open this in Sublime Text. That's my text editor. So I'm using the symlink to open Sublime Text like this. If you don't have that installed, you can just open it manually from your project in the app. All right, so you can see some folders here, the contracts directory, the migrations directory, and the test directory. And also a truffle-config file was created for us. We're going to modify this here in a minute. But the contracts directory is we're going to create our first smart contract, which we'll do momentarily. Migrations directory allows us to create new files that will put the smart contracts on the blockchain. We'll also create one of those here in a minute as well. Now let's configure the front-end application. All right, so we're going to use React in this tutorial. You can use a couple different front-end frameworks to interact with Drizzle, but we're going to use React in this tutorial, all right? I'm going to go ahead and create a new React project with the Create React App tool, so we can install that in our project like this. So say npm. Actually, I've got a version already on my computer. Let's just see. Create React App -- version. And this is going to be the version that you all should install in order to follow along with this tutorial, make sure everything works. So I'll say npm install -g create react app at, and then paste in this version here. Okay, so that'll install Create React App globally. I've already done this, so I'm going to cancel. But that should give you the tool that you need in order to run this next command, which is going to bootstrap the React app like this. We'll say create React app. we'll call it client. All right. So we can see that a new client directory was created here inside of our project, and that's going to install all the boilerplate code for running a React app inside of this Truffle project. Okay, so we got two projects that are kind of mashed together. This Truffle project here, and then also inside of it, we've got this client directory that's going to contain all the code for our React app. Okay, so I'm going to wait for this to finish, and then we will move on to the next step. All right, it finished. So now we can kind of consider these two different projects, even though they're inside the same directory. Our blockchain project for creating smart contracts is going to be sort of in this Truffle project, this Drizzle example, and all the code for the front end is going to be inside this client directory, okay? So I'm going to go back to our terminal and open a new tab. All right, so I'm going to stay inside this Drizzle directory. Oops, sorry. I had a little problem with my terminal here. I'm going to stay inside this Drizzle directory for developing the smart contracts, and I'm going to open this new tab to go inside of the front-end application. That's where we'll run all the code for modifying the React app, running the server, things like that. So I'll say cd client. All right, so inside of here, I want to go ahead and just make sure all the node modules are installed, npm install. All right, it should be fine. But you can see there's its own package.json file. And stuff like that inside of this directory. So this is where we're going to keep all the node modules for the actual client-side project itself. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if that's finished. All right, it's done. So now let's go ahead and start the server just to make sure that everything worked properly. So I'll say npm run start, and this should open up a new browser window for us with the project. Okay, so we can see that open here. All right, there we go. So there's the boilerplate application that comes with Create React App. So we know that we've installed it successfully. So now let's go ahead and kill the server. I just wanted to make sure that everything was set up properly because we're going to install some more node modules here, and we want this to reload. So yeah, we'll just kill the server, and we're going to go ahead and work on the smart contracts, and then we'll come back to actually developing out this client-side application. I just wanted to make sure that it was installed properly before moving on. All right, so let's go back to the other tab in the terminal to create the smart contracts. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is make sure that Ganache is installed, up, and running properly. So I've got Ganache here. I've been using this already, so you can see some of my Ether has been debited. But yeah, this is your development blockchain. It comes with 10 addresses, 10 accounts, all with some fake Ether already credited to those accounts. It's a really nice tool for developing smart contracts. You can just, kind of plug and play, use a blockchain without having to risk any funds. And it's really easy to do this. So once you've got Ganache running, let's go ahead and create the smart contract and put it on the blockchain, put it on Ganache. Okay, so go to your project and go to the contracts directory. So not in clients, but on the top level, go to contracts. You'll see this migrations contract in here. This is just a smart contract that comes with Truffle that's responsible for putting other smart contracts on the blockchain. It's for internal use only. You don't have to worry about this. But I'm going to create a new file here. New file relative to current view. I'll say greeter. Oops, sorry. So greeter.sol. So what we're going to do is create the canonical greeter smart contract from Solidity inside of here. This is sort of like the hello world for Ethereum smart contracts. So we'll say pragma Solidity. We'll use a caret 0.5.0. All right, so this is just a declaration of the Solidity programming language, just the version that we're going to use. And we'll create the smart contract like this. We'll use the contract keyword and say contract, greeter. All right, then we'll use some curly braces, and all this code for the smart contract is going to go inside of here. All right. So the first thing we want to do is just store a greeting on the blockchain. This will be a state variable that's written to the blockchain. We'll say string greeting equals hello world. All right. So we'll set a default value here, and we can actually create a way to update this value and a way to retrieve this value with two functions inside the smart contract. The first function will be the set function, say function set, and we'll say string memory greeting, and we'll say public. And inside of here, we'll just set this variable to this passed in value here. So we'll say greeting equals greeting. All right, then we'll create a function for getting it. Say function get. Say public view returns string memory and then we will say return greeting. All right. So that's the smart contract. This is the canonical hello world smart contract for Ethereum. Basically, it's just a contract that greets you by saying hello world, and you can fetch it with this function, and you can also update it with this function. So let's go ahead and compile this, make sure I didn't have any errors. Say Truffle compile. All right, looks like I had a little error. This needs to be returns. Sorry. Try that again. All right, it worked. So you can see that this contract was put in this build contracts directory. All right, greeter. So this is just a artifacts file. This is what Truffle uses to figure out how the smart contract works and also keep track of its addresses on the blockchain. So what we're going to do is actually change how Truffle works here. So I'll tell you why. We need to access this greeter.json file inside of this client directory because this is where all of the React code lives. And create React app and React doesn't really allow us to read files that are not inside of this source directory. So like the file's up here, but it's not in here, and it's going to blow up if we try to read this file outside this directory. So we're going to change our Truffle configuration. Open the truffle-config file, and just here above this networks key, we can say contracts build directory. All right, I believe is the name of the configuration. I'm just going to double check here off screen. So let's see the Truffle documentation. All right, so yeah, so the contracts build directory is client, and then source artifacts. All right, so that's going to be where this build's going to go. So let's try that again. Say Truffle compile. Truffle compile, and now we should see it create a new folder inside of this source directory, and it should say artifacts. All right, let's see how it's going. Still waiting. All right, there you go. You can see that it was put here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete this build folder. Delete it. All right, so we don't need that anymore because all of the artifacts are going to live inside this source directory because the React app needs them inside of there. All right, so next let's go ahead and put the smart contract on the blockchain. While we're inside this truffle-config file, we want to configure our development network. So I'm just going to find the setting here that says development and uncomment this out. Okay, so what this does is tells it blockchain to connect to. So in this case, we're on localhost. And it says port 8545, but our Ganache instance is actually running on port 7545, which you can see here. So we're going to update that. We'll say, just change this 8 to a 7. So port 7545, save that, go to our terminal, and we can deploy it, but we have one more step to do. So we'll go to this migrations directory. And we can see an initial migrations file here. What I'm going to do is just copy this and create a new file. We're going to call it to deploy contracts.js. And you can see that the migrations files inside of Truffle are numbered. So you want to make sure that this begins with a 2 followed by an underscore, then the name of the migration. They're numbered because these tell Truffle the order to run them in. So the first one needs to be this migrations contract that comes with Truffle to tell it how to put other smart contracts on the blockchain. And then the second file is the file that's going to put our greeter smart contract that we just wrote on the blockchain. So I'm going to change migrations to greeter. I just copied all the code. Oops, sorry, greeter. See here, sorry guys, greeter. So I just copied all the code from this first migration and pasted it in here. And then just changed the name of the contract. All right. So I'll save that, go to my terminal and say Truffle migrate, and that should put both smart contracts on the blockchain. The migrations contract that came with Truffle, and then also this greeter smart contract that we just wrote. All right, it worked. So now let's use the smart contract and wire it up to our client-side application and actually create our Drizzle project. Okay, so let's go back to our terminal and find the tab that we were running Drizzle, the client side in. So this is where the server was running, so I'll clear this out. And now I want to install some new node modules. All right, so we're going to say npm install --save Drizzle. Drizzle React, and then there's one more component that we need, one more package that we need. I think I called them packages a second ago. Yeah, we also need Drizzle React components. All right, I'm gonna enter and save. All right, now that that's finished, let's go ahead and edit our project. So I'm gonna start the server, say npm run start. All right, this is gonna open the code back into our. All right, so everything looks like it just did before we killed the server. So we're back in business. All right, so let's go to source and then go to app.js and we're gonna edit everything inside of here, okay? So the first thing I wanna do is just clear out the boilerplate code that comes with this React app. Let's just kill the header. Just highlight this, take it out. And then we can say, h2, and then we'll just call this hello world. Okay. And let's take out the CSS file, and let's take out the logo file. So now we're down to the bare bones of our React component. We just have this top level act function. So let's go inside of here. And we can see hello world. Awesome. Now let's update the Drizzle options. And this is sort of the secret sauce that makes all the magic for Drizzle. Okay, so like I said earlier, the goal of Drizzle is to sort of give you really fast, rapid UIs for your smart contracts to interact with them without having to write a bunch of code yourself. And so the Drizzle options are going to tell you, where your smart contract is, how it works, and all that kind of stuff. So you can see here's the configuration that we can pass into Drizzle in order to make it work. We need to tell it where our contracts are, and there's lots of other things that you can, tell it to do, like what the events are, how to do polls, lots of other settings, some fallback configuration for Web3, and all that kind of stuff. So you can check out this link here at trufflesuite.com in the docs to see more about the Drizzle options, but I'll show you a really simple version today to get you started quickly. So here I'll say const Drizzle options. And then we're going to be an object, and I'm just going to tell it the contracts. So contracts is just going to be an array. And this is going to be, we need to actually pass in the Truffle artifact from this directory here to this array. So first we'll import it. We'll say import greeter from dot / artifacts / greeter dot JSON. All right. So now we can pass in greeter here. And this is going to tell Drizzle everything that we need to run the smart contract. Okay. So next, we're going to actually import this thing called Drizzle provider. So say import Drizzle, curly braces, Drizzle provider. So be from Drizzle React. All right. So we'll do like this. And then instead of this div, let's take this out. We'll say Drizzle provider. All right, so we'll save that. Go to our browser, and actually, before I do that, I need to specify the options. So say options equals, let's say Drizzle options. Awesome. Save that. Go back to our browser. Make sure there's no errors in the console. All right, so we still see hello world, which is good. Let's go to the Chrome inspector. Check out the console, and no errors. So far, so good. All right, so the next thing we want to do is import this thing called the loading container. All right, so this is a Drizzle React component that's going to allow us to basically show a loader if the smart contracts in Drizzle aren't loaded yet. And if they are, it's going to render them out to the page. Okay, so I'm going to import that component like this. Let's say import loading container, say from Drizzle React. All right, save that, go back to the page. All good, no compilation issues. Now I'm going to wrap this inside the loading container. So I'll say loading container. All right, and then escape it here. I save that, go back to the page. Okay, let's get an issue here. What's it telling us? All right, I see what the error is, my fault. So this is Drizzle React components. Different package. So loading container from Drizzle React components. Save that, go back to the page, see what happens. All right, so looks like we still got an issue. I don't think that Drizzle React components saved properly whenever I installed the initial node modules. So sorry, guys. We can look at the package.json file and see that it's not in here. So let's go ahead and install it right now, and we'll get back in business. So let's just kill the server and say npm install -- save Drizzle React components. All right, so we'll just let this install. They'll restart the server, and we should be back in business. All right, so that works. Let's go ahead and restart the server. All right, so now upon refresh, everything looks good. All right, so now we've got this loading container saved, and if I refresh the page, you should probably see the loader flash. Let's see here. Yep, there we go. So the little fox icon, and then here we go. Awesome. All right, so next let's go ahead and write some scaffolding for interacting with the smart contract and also displaying our account information on the page. So I'm going to create a new div here. So we'll clear out this hello world and say div, and I'll close it like this. All right, so here we're going to actually list out the account that we're connected with. So really quickly, just make sure that you have an account with Ganache. So copy your private key here. You know, don't use this ever because I just showed it on the screen. But go to MetaMask and just import your account in order to interact with the smart contract that way. Just open up MetaMask like so, and go to import. See here, import account, paste in the private key, and you should be good. All right. So let's show that account information. We'll say after loading container, we'll say account data. All right, and we'll go ahead and put this on some new lines. All right, so we'll say account data like this. And we'll say account index. This is just going to tell it which account we want to show the information for. We'll say 0, that'll be the first account in the list from Web3 accounts. Say units, will be Ether. Basically, we're going to show it how much Ether is in the account. And then also precision. It's going to be 3. So that will be basically, actually let's do 2. All right. Awesome. So we'll save that, go back to the page, refresh, and we should see our account information. There we go. Boom. So there's the account that I'm connected with. There's the Ether balance. Awesome. So next, let's actually, well, we'll label this. We'll say your account, P, your account. All right. All right, there we go. So now let's show the contract information. So I'll say, let's change to an H5. So I get a little bold highlighting here. We'll say H5. Let's show the greeting from the smart contract. So say current greeting. All right, and let's import a component that's going to allow us to show that information. We'll say contract data. All right, and then I'm also going to import contract form while I'm here. That's going to allow us to set the greeting. All right, so current greeting is contract data. And we'll say contract equals greeter. That's just telling it which smart contract to read from. Greeter, greeter, greeter. And then we'll say method, which is going to be the function from the smart contract, get. So this just calls the get function. Pretty simple. So we'll go back to the page and see if it actually shows information. Boom, there we go. Hello world. And you can see it showed fetching a second ago. So it has its own little built-in loader to asynchronously call the get function and then show it on the page. All right, so next, let's say, let's create a form for actually setting the greeting. So set greeting. All right, so now let's say contract form, contract equals greeter, and we'll say method equals set. All right, boom. So that should now give us a form to actually update it. Save that, go back to the page, and see what's available. Awesome. So we can see a form here to actually update the greeting. So I'm going to do that. But before I do, let's go to MetaMask, and I'm going to reset my account just in case there's any issues. I don't want to have to do it later. So we'll go to Settings, and then we'll go to Advanced, Reset Account. Yes. All right. So this should reload the page, and then I'm going to actually update the greeting with this form here. All right, so let's give it a try. So instead of hello world, I'll say hello Dapp University. So I'll click submit, and MetaMask should pop up. I'm going to actually have to open it manually here because it's suppressing the modal for some reason. All right, click confirm. All right, go see it's loading, it's pending. And sorry, my computer's kind of slow right now, but oh, boom, there we go. Hello, Dapp University. So we saw the greeting change in real time. All right, awesome. Very cool. All right, guys, so that is a complete smart contract front end with the Drizzle framework put out by Truffle. So that shows you how fast and easy it is to create a Drizzle project, a React front end for your dApps without having to write a bunch of code yourself. All right, so I hope y'all like this video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, click the like button down below. And if you're serious about learning how to become a blockchain developer, and if you want to learn how to build more complex React front ends for your dApps, build real world applications, you need to get inside my blockchain developer bootcamp. All right, so you can find out more information about that by going to my website. There's a link down below to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. All right, until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.